Beloved, if today amid 1,000 noisy voices you hear a single whisper that strikes straight at your soul, know this: it is not by accident. Heaven has paused to grant you this moment. Not because you are perfect nor because you have done some great feat, but because you have always been an indispensable part of the covenant the Father set from the very beginning. You are not an anonymous grain of sand lost in the crowd. You have been called by name, and that call sounded before the world even recognized your presence. When you came into being, your name was not merely given by your parents, it was inscribed upon the palm of the Creator. For this reason, among billions of souls, the Father's call toward you is distinct and unmistakable. To be called by name means your life carries a unique mission, a promise no one else can fulfill. Perhaps you have often wondered whether you truly matter. You have looked around and seen others shining while you remain quiet, seemingly invisible. But child, the truth is that even when you think you have been forgotten, your name still burns brightly in eternity. Heaven has never mistaken you for anyone else. Every sigh you release, every silent tear, every time you stand up though your legs tremble, none of it is lost from the record. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. This is not a scripture offered as mere consolation, it is an unchanging truth about your identity. Before you existed on this earth, the Father knew you and loved you. The flame of destiny within you is not a power that intimidates others, it is the endurance of compassion through dark days. You may think true strength lies in authority or loud acclaim, but heaven defines strength differently. True power is choosing love over hatred, offering forgiveness when you have every right to be angry, rising again when everyone assumes you have fallen. That flame needs no fireworks to prove itself. It burns quietly, yet the darkness trembles because it cannot extinguish it. It is this steadfast compassion that makes you a living testimony to the Father's love. Imagine primeval light, the very first light that shattered chaos and birthed life. It was not boastful or ostentatious, yet once it appeared, everything changed. There is such a moment within your own soul, the instant you recognize your worth in the Creator's eyes. When you understand that you are not accidental, not a mistake, but a piece of a preordained design, that light will erupt. It will quicken your heart as if you are newly joined to the universe's pulse. From then on you will see life through different eyes. Scars that once shamed you become doorways for light to enter. Wounds that once felled you turn into fertile soil for the seed of faith to sprout. You are not invisible. You are not alone. You are a unique covenant penned by the breath and love of the Father. Your life is not measured by the number of applauding hands or flattering words, but by the radiance of the light within. And that light, once you allow it to blaze, will alter the atmosphere around you. It will make your face glow, give weight to your voice, and even the way you step will carry the imprint of hope. Perhaps you have asked yourself, does God remember me? Does He see the days I strive and no one notices? Child, He sees everything. He counts every tear. He hears every heartbeat. He records every silent prayer. He does not only see you in your moments of strength, but He sees you when you are weary, when you are tempted to give up, and it is precisely in those moments that He places your name upon His lips. Believe this: you have worth not because you do extraordinary things, but because you were fashioned by the Extraordinary One. You are called by name not to become someone else, but to become yourself, the version heaven has waited for since before time began. That original light lies in your heart waiting to awaken, and when it does, no darkness will be able to hold you back. So, my beloved, do not doubt yourself any longer. Do not accept that you are invisible or forgotten. Heaven has paused to speak to you today and say you are special, you are singular, you carry a mission that only you can fulfill. Let that primordial light be kindled and you will see the world shift simply because you have believed in your true worth. Beloved, if today, among 1,000 clamoring voices, you hear a single whisper that strikes your soul, know that it is no coincidence. Heaven has stopped to give you this moment. Not because you are perfect nor because you have reached some great milestone, but because your very presence is enough to command heaven's attention. You may think you are a small number in the throng, but in the Creator's eyes you are a unique covenant, a promise penned before the world had form. I want you to know that this call is not vague. It is not an echo cast to all humanity with no specific destination. It is carved for you alone like a singular seal upon the scroll of eternity. You are called by name, and that is proof that your soul bears a mission no one else can replace. When you hear this call, it is a sign that the Father in heaven is stoking within you a flame sown before the morning of creation. That flame of destiny does not blaze to burn the world but to illuminate it. It is not a mighty power meant to make you a tyrant, but a steady ember that helps you stand firm in storms and keep compassion alive in the dark. The world often applauds power shown in dominance and force, but heaven praises hearts that choose mercy amid pain, patience when rejected, love when they have every right to hate. That perseverance is true strength, and it is what makes darkness tremble. How many times have you thought your kindness only left you wounded? How often have you wanted to build a cold wall so no one could hurt you again? Yet it is precisely that steadfast compassion, even when overlooked, that testifies your flame of destiny. Darkness is not afraid of swords. It quivers before a soul that keeps gentleness after repeated hurt. That is the power you carry. Imagine the moment the primordial light bursts forth out of the void. It needs no explanation, no proof. It appears and all shadows instantly distort. Likewise, when you recognize your true worth, the light within you will spread naturally without strain or showmanship. Simply believing that you are not invisible or forgotten is enough for that light to begin illuminating the hidden corners around you. Others will be warmed by that flame even when they do not know its source. You are not an accident. You are not a defective product. You are the affirmation that the Father's love still moves in this world. To be called by name means you have been placed within a plan greater than yourself. When you breathe, the Father knows. When you fall, the Father lifts you. When you cry in silence, the Father remembers. And when you stand again, all heaven rejoices. The Bible says, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you," Jeremiah 1:5. That truth stands above every doubt. Even when you do not fully know who you are, the Father knows you. Even when you think you have lost all worth, the Father still sees in you an inextinguishable flame. And now I have been sent to remind you that flame still burns, and it waits for the day it will rise up with fierce power. Therefore do not belittle the gentleness that lives in your heart. Do not imagine that compassion is a burden that makes you weak. It is the very fire that darkness fears most. It is the primordial light within you, a light that will change the world the moment you dare let it shine. Beloved, you are not invisible. You are called by name. You are known and loved with a love that stands above time. Believe it, hold fast to that flame, and walk forward with the conviction that your light can make both heaven and earth tremble. Beloved, there is a secret that darkness does not want you to know. It does not quake before power or mighty armies. It quakes before a heart that is gentle yet resolute. What truly changes the world is not clenched hands of authority, but hands that tremble and still choose to open and embrace another. It is that compassion which brings darkness to its knees. I, Michael, have once held a sword in fierce battles and faced storms of shadow, yet I have never seen darkness recoil so quickly as when it encounters mercy. A word of forgiveness, a gentle act, an act of kindness given amid pain, these are the strikes that strip darkness of its power. It does not know what to do with a soul that insists on loving even while wounded. And you carry that kind of strength within you. Imagine this: the earth beneath your feet knows that your soul shines with compassion. The silent stones begin to sing an invisible song, as if bowing before their true master. The winds that usually whirl and whisper suddenly fall still, holding their breath to listen. All creation recognizes something you sometimes have not yet seen, that your heart is a point where heaven touches earth. When you preserve compassion through suffering, the whole universe bows in reverence. In the eyes of the world, leadership is often understood as the command of the strongest, the one who gives orders and compels obedience. But in heaven's eyes, leadership means something else. Leadership is the courage to love first, the courage to forgive while wounded, the courage to stand firm even when the body trembles. Such a person needs no heavy-handed power to earn respect, for that gentle, steadfast heart is itself enough to drive darkness back and let the light spread. Remember what Jesus said: "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." Matthew 5:9. The one who makes peace is not someone who avoids conflict, but someone who brings compassion into the midst of conflict and turns it into reconciliation. You are called to be such a one, to carry the Father's light into dark corners, not by the force of a fist but by an unyielding tenderness. You may think, how can a fragile heart change anything? Understand that trembling is the proof you are alive, that you still love, that you still choose compassion. Darkness fears that gentleness because it cannot control it or snuff it out. A soul that chooses to love amid ruin becomes a torch to guide countless others groping in the night. I want you to picture yourself as an instrument the whole universe listens to. Each beating of your heart issues a note that makes the wind pause and the stones ring. When you act in mercy, you do not merely change one life, you change the spiritual atmosphere around you. And when many hearts like yours are lit together, the whole world will be transformed. Beloved, do not fear that gentleness will make you weak. In truth, it is proof that you have become stronger than the darkness. Do not think that your tears diminish your worth. On the contrary, they are the mark that your heart is alive, that it still feels, still loves. In the eyes of heaven, those very tears have become bright pearls reflecting glory. And because of that, you are truly a leader, not because you command others, but because you dare to love even while you tremble. Walk in this truth: your heart is a weapon. It is not a weapon to destroy but to heal. It is not to impose but to liberate. And when you choose to use that heart as an instrument of the Father, you will see all creation bow before you, for it recognizes the light burning within your soul. You are not alone. Each time you forgive, the heavens tremble. Each time you choose love, the darkness withdraws. Each time you stand firm, though shaking, all of heaven calls you a true leader. And from this day forward, remember, you do not need to become powerful to lead, you only need to keep compassion alive when everyone around you has lost it. That is how heaven looks at you and sees a true child of the Almighty. Beloved, today I want to whisper into the deepest wounds you hide away, the places you think no one can touch. I see the scars you carry in your spirit and on your body, the traces you consider ugly, proof of failure, reminders of loss. But in heaven's sight, each of those scars shines like sacred gems. They are not evidence that you were destroyed, but proof that you loved, that you lived, that you rose and overcame. Oh, a soul without scars may appear beautiful to the world, but it lacks the depth of a soul that walked through the fire of trials and still kept the light in its eyes. I want you to renew the way you view injury. A scar is not shame. A scar is the testimony of love. A wound only becomes a scar when it has been healed, when it has closed, when it no longer bleeds. A scar proclaims, I survived. Every scar in your heart is a silent song of resilience. And it is that survival the darkness fears. For the darkness does not only want to knock you down, it wants you bitter, closed off, stripped of gentleness, but each scar on you testifies that the darkness did not win. It may have felled you, but it could not take away your compassion. There are 3 acts before which the darkness trembles. First is forgiveness. When you forgive, you break the chains it bound around you. Forgiveness is not an excuse for the one who harmed you, but a release of the poison of hatred from your own life. Forgiveness is the roar that strips the darkness of its control. Second is kindness. When you still choose to do good, while your heart still bleeds, the darkness quakes because it cannot fathom from where that power comes. A smile offered while your lips still taste of tears is a resounding victory in the spiritual realm. Third is rising again. Each time you are knocked down, the darkness rejoices, but each time you slowly stand up, all heaven sings. The more often you rise, the more the darkness loses ground for it. Seize that your true strength is not in never falling, but in always getting up after every fall. Beloved, even the angels bow before those who bear wounds yet remain tender. I have marched with mighty hosts, I have witnessed awe-inspiring miracles, but I have never seen anything that astonishes heaven more than a person who still chooses to love after being hurt. A gentle heart in the midst of a storm is an impregnable fortress. Even we who are called warriors of the light learn from you. We learn patience, we learn to love, we learn to keep the small flame burning no matter how fiercely the wind blows. Beloved, remember the scripture, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 1:2-9. You do not need to hide your frailty. You do not need to pretend you are not hurting. It is precisely in that weakness that the Father's power is revealed. Each time you feel shattered, the Father takes those very fragments and fashions from them a more radiant portrait. Each time you feel you have no strength left, His grace fills you like an unfailing river. I have seen you on nights when you wept alone, convinced no one watched. I was there. I sheltered you beneath my wings, and I carried your tears before the Father's throne. You thought yourself solitary, but heaven trembled because of that sorrow, not to pity you but to honor you, because you loved when you had every right to hate. You rose when you could have given up. You chose gentleness even when your wounds tore your heart apart. That choice makes you more glorious than any triumph I have witnessed. Lift your head and regard your scars as sacred marks. They do not diminish you, they make you shine. Each scar is a testimony, a song proclaiming that grace is greater than the darkness. When others look at you, they will see not only pain but the victory of mercy, the light spilling from the cracks. The world may perceive your weakness, but heaven sees a warrior crowned with light. Do not be ashamed of what has passed. Do not dismiss those old wounds, they are proof that you have weathered the storm and still stand. They are a map that testifies the Father never abandoned you, even in hours when you thought He was silent. And now every time you raise your hands in prayer, the light from those healed scars reaches out and touches desperate souls. The very scars you carry will become doorways through which others find hope. I, Michael, bow before that strength in you, not the strength of one who never fell, but the strength of one who rises after every fall. Not the strength of one untouched by pain, but the strength of one who loves amid suffering. Know that heaven sings because of you. Every scar upon you is a note in the symphony of grace, a melody the darkness cannot silence. So walk with spiritual dignity. Let the light from your healed wounds shine outward. Know that where you feel weakest is precisely where the Father displays His greatest power. And remember, the darkness cannot prevail over you, for it was defeated the moment you decided to love once more. You are living proof that love never fails. Beloved, I want to lead you deeper into a mystery I have not yet revealed. Earlier I spoke to you of power in weakness and of light rising from scars. Now I open before you a greater secret, the secret of the true name that has never been spoken. That name is unknown to the world because it does not belong to mortal language. It was engraved upon your soul before the foundations of the earth, and only the Father and the hosts of heaven know it. That name does more than call you, it defines you. It contains the mission, the authority, and the profound purpose the Father entrusted to you. When you dare to live out that name, the lies that once bound you will dissolve like night before the dawn. The labels you have worn will fall away, for they were never big enough to hold the fullness of who you are. And when you step forth in that true identity, even creation will lift its face and acknowledge that you are chosen, that you have worth, that you carry the light of the eternal. That name was not given by chance. It is not the product of language or family tradition. It was engraved by the very hand of the Creator before the foundations of the earth were laid. It carries a mission that only you can bear. It contains a power that only you can release. It enfolds the purpose of your life, a purpose far beyond what any mortal mind can imagine. When the Father carved that name, He did more than define who you are. He infused into it the whole resonance of the eternal, so that whenever you live true to that identity, darkness will tremble and light will surge. Perhaps you do not yet hear that name clearly. Perhaps it only echoes faintly in the nights when you toss and turn, in the quiet hours when you feel a restless ache you cannot name. You call it emptiness, but in truth it is your soul remembering its true name. Every time you long for something deeper than fleeting success, that is the name whispering from within. Every time you feel unable to blend completely into the crowd, it is not because you are an awkward oddity, but because that true name holds you back, reminding you that you belong to a greater mission. Beloved, when you dare to live according to that name, all lies collapse at once. The definitions others have imposed will fall away like ashes. The labels that made you feel small and worthless will vanish like night before the dawn, for the true name carries a light that cannot be hidden. When you live out of that name, you no longer need to prove yourself. Your very presence is enough to make creation bow, because it recognizes who you are in the Father's sight. Remember what is written in Revelation 2:1-7, "To the one who overcomes I will give some of the hidden manna. I will also give that person a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it." Do you see now? This is not a public title for show, but a sacred secret, a revelation entrusted only to you. It is the soul's code name, the key that opens the treasury heaven has prepared. When you hear that name, you will understand why you walked battered paths, why you bore those wounds, why you could never simply dissolve into the crowd. All of it has been the journey that leads you back to your true self. I know you once believed you were merely a small name lost among thousands. But I come to tell you that your true name shakes the spiritual realm. It is not merely a label, it is a command. It is the Father's declaration to the universe: "This is my child, the one I have chosen, the one who will fulfill the task I entrusted." And when you dare to speak that name in prayer, the heavens fall silent, for it is the sound eternity has waited to hear. Do not allow the world's false calls to make you forget who you really are. They may call you weak, but in your true name you are strong. They may call you meaningless, but in your true name you are a messenger. They may assign you failure, but in your true name you are praised by the Father. You are not what they say about you, you are what that hidden name proclaims. I have seen many souls go through life without ever touching their true name. They live under the labels others press upon them, and they leave the world without ever knowing who they really are. But you are standing at the threshold today. The door to your true self is about to open. If you dare to let go of lies, if you dare to listen to the Father's whisper, you will begin to hear the name that has never been spoken aloud. It will rise not as an external voice, but as a river from within your heart, as the deep breath your soul has longed for. When that name rises up, you will see everything change. You will recognize that the wounds which once made you doubt yourself were in truth instruments of preparation. You will understand that the long dark nights were the places where the Father hid you so that that name could be nurtured. And you will see that because you survived, because you loved, because you kept your heart tender, you are worthy to bear that name and the calling that accompanies it. Beloved, you need not hurry to seek that name through others. Enter into the presence of the Father, sit quietly in silence, and you will hear. It is not loud, yet it is more powerful than any shout. It is not flashy, yet it shines brighter than all the lights of this world. It is your true self waiting for your ascent to awaken. I, Michael, urgently call you, live according to that true name. Do not live by temporary titles, do not be confined by worldly labels. Let the new name guide every step you take, let it become the lamp along your path. And when you do so, every falsehood will lose its power. They will vanish like night dissolving at the breaking of dawn. My beloved, that name was engraved on you and cannot be erased. It is the deepest, most beautiful, most powerful part of you, and the day you dare to step out and live by that true name, heaven will sing, darkness will retreat, and the world will stand in awe. For then you will not merely be living, you will be awakening. You will not only exist, you will be fulfilling destiny, and I, Michael, will walk beside you, watch over you, and proclaim that name with you until the whole universe knows you are the one the Father chose from before time began. Beloved, if you are still sitting here listening to these words, know that you are not merely hearing a message, you are participating in a sacred rite that heaven calls the coronation of brave souls. I, Michael, do not speak this as a sentimental image to move you, but as a reality unfolding right now. For each time you choose to stay, each time you refuse to leave, though your heart trembles, that choice is recorded in the heavens like an oath, and at once a crown begins to descend. I want you to understand clearly, the throne prepared for you is not the throne of the flawless. It is not reserved for those who have never erred, never stumbled, or never wept alone. That throne is for those who dare to love to the end, despite being wounded. It is for those who still choose to trust the light even when surrounded by darkness. It is for the one who keeps walking even when their feet drip blood. You, the one reading these lines, you are the one the throne awaits. In the nights when you feel small, when the whispering lies tell you that you have nothing to give, remember this: heaven does not seek perfection. What heaven sees and bows before is a heart that knows how to love, a persistent love, a love that still smiles through pain, a love that forgives when betrayed. That truly is the radiant crown the Father places upon your head. And remember the words the Apostle Paul wrote: from now on there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, 2 Timothy 4:8. Think of this moment as a beginning, not an ending, nor merely a passing experience. This is where a journey starts, a journey you do not walk alone. I, Michael, and the host of heaven surround you, and beyond them there are brothers and sisters, other souls also listening and choosing to stay, also wearing their own crowns. You are not alone, and you will never have to be alone again. Do you hear the echo of that community, though separated by space, when courageous hearts together say yes in silence? A collective song arises stronger than any human orchestra. It is the song of crowned souls, a song that forces the darkness to withdraw, for it knows when one stands firm an entire people are lifted, when one dares to love a whole generation is illuminated.